The last thing my father-in-law said to me before he died was, "You were the only one who stayed." I was sitting beside his hospital bed at 2:17 in the morning, holding his trembling hand while the machines around us beeped softly. Outside the window, rain crawled down the glass. He looked exhausted. His breathing was shallow, his face pale, and the men who had once commanded a business empire worth nearly $90 million could barely lift his head from the pillow. I squeezed his hand. "You don't have to thank me, Robert." He looked at me for a long moment. Then he whispered, "I do." 3 hours later, he was gone. And before I could even leave the hospital, I discovered that my wife had chosen another man. His name was Marcus. He was rich, handsome, confident, and apparently everything I wasn't. I found out because my wife's phone lit up while she was asleep in the chair beside the hospital room. One message appeared on the screen. "Marcus, I'm sorry about your dad. Once the funeral is over, come with me. You deserve a better life." My stomach tightened. I looked at my wife, Emily. She had been married to me for 11 years. For the past 8 months, I'd watched her father slowly disappear from the man he used to be. I'd driven him to chemotherapy, picked up his medications, cooked meals he could actually swallow, sat beside him during the nights when his pain became unbearable. I had taken unpaid days off work when Emily said she was too busy managing her career. I had slept in hospital chairs. I had learned the names of his nurses. I had even shaved his face when his hands became too weak to hold a razor. And now, I was standing in a hospital room with the men she loved on the other side of the city. I didn't confront her. Not that night. Her father had just died. Some things were more important than anger. 2 days later, at the funeral, Emily barely looked at me. Marcus arrived in a black luxury sedan. He stood beside her beneath an umbrella, his hand resting comfortably against her back. I stood several feet away, alone. People whispered. Some knew. Some didn't. But I wasn't interested in making a scene. After the service, Emily approached me. "We need to talk." I nodded. She looked tired, but not heartbroken. "I'm leaving." The words landed quietly. "Leaving the house?" She shook her head. "Leaving you." I stared at her. "For Marcus." She didn't deny it. "He understands me," she said. "He has a life. Money. Connections. He can give me things you never could." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because sometimes the human heart laughs when it doesn't know what else to do. "I gave you everything I had," I said. "You gave me responsibility." Her words cut deeper than I expected. "You spent months taking care of my father. You acted like his nurse. You forgot about me." I looked at her. "Emily, your father was dying." She folded her arms. "He had nurses. I wasn't doing it for a reward. That doesn't change anything." She walked away. Marcus opened the passenger door for her. Before she got inside, she glanced back at me. For 1 second, I thought I saw regret. Then the door closed. The car disappeared. I went home alone. For the first time in 11 years, the house felt enormous. 3 weeks passed. Emily filed for divorce. She moved into a luxury condo Marcus had rented for her. I didn't fight her. I didn't beg. I didn't expose her affair. I simply signed the papers and started rebuilding my life. Then, one Thursday morning, a black Mercedes stopped outside my house. A man in a charcoal suit stepped out. "Are you Daniel Hayes?" "Yes." "My name is Richard Coleman. I was your father-in-law's attorney." I frowned. "Robert's attorney?" "Yes." He held out a leather folder. "There are some matters concerning his estate." I wasn't expecting anything. "I know." He looked almost uncomfortable. "That's why I'm here." We sat at my kitchen table. Richard opened the folder. Your father-in-law left an estate valued at approximately $90 million. I stared at him. I knew he was wealthy, but I didn't realize. He kept most of his finances private. Richard turned a page. His will was signed 6 months before his death. He paused. Mr. Hayes, Robert left the majority of his estate to you. I thought I had misheard him. I'm sorry. $90 million in assets, businesses, investments, and property. There are some charitable allocations and family provisions. But the controlling interest in his company goes to you. I pushed back from the table. No. Richard looked confused. I can't accept this. You don't have to accept it emotionally. Legally, however, you're the beneficiary. I shook my head. Why would he do this? Richard closed the folder. Because he knew you. He reached into his briefcase and removed an envelope. This was specifically addressed to you. My hands trembled as I opened it. Robert's handwriting filled the page. Daniel. If you're reading this, then I'm gone. I know my daughter will be angry. I know people will say you married into this family for money. Let them talk. I watched you when nobody else was watching. I saw you sitting beside me when Emily was at work. I saw you drive 6 hours through a snowstorm to get my medication. I saw you sleep in that terrible hospital chair because you refused to leave me alone. You never once asked what you would receive. That is precisely why I want you to receive it. My vision blurred. I kept reading. Money is powerful, Daniel, but money without character destroys people. I don't want my company controlled by someone who sees wealth as a prize. I want it controlled by someone who understands responsibility. Take care of the employees. Protect the people who built this company with me. And if you ever become rich enough to forget what it feels like to struggle, give something away. That's the only way wealth becomes meaningful. I lowered the letter. For several minutes, I couldn't speak. Richard quietly said, "There's one more condition." I looked up. What? You must become chairman of the company. My heart stopped. You're asking me to run a corporation. Robert was very specific. 3 days later, Emily called. Her voice was different. Daniel, we need to talk. I don't think we do. I heard about the will. Of course she had. You're getting everything. Not everything. Dad left you the company. Yes. There was silence. Then she said, "That's not fair." I closed my eyes. Emily, your father made his decision. He was sick. He was sick when he wrote the will. He was sick when he watched me take care of him. He was sick when he told me what he wanted. She became quiet. Then came the question I expected. Can you give me my share? I almost laughed again. Your share? Yes. Your father left you a substantial inheritance. You received the family properties and several investments. But you got the company. I didn't ask for it. I deserve it. I looked out the window. No, Emily. You deserve whatever your father chose to give you. Just like I deserve the responsibility he trusted me with. She hung up. The following months were difficult. I had no business experience. There were executives who thought I was a temporary mistake. Investors questioned me. Employees wondered why a former warehouse supervisor had suddenly become chairman of a $90 million company. But I remembered Robert's words. So I listened. I visited factories. I spoke with employees. I learned the names of janitors, drivers, receptionists, accountants, engineers, and warehouse workers. And I discovered something Robert had known for decades. A company wasn't buildings and money. It was people. So I changed things. We created emergency assistance funds for employees. We increased healthcare support. We established scholarships for workers' children. And every year, a portion of the company's profits went toward helping families struggling with medical expenses. I also kept Robert's old office exactly as it was. One afternoon, almost a year after his death, I was sitting there when someone knocked. Emily walked in. She looked different. Not poorer. Just older. "Can I sit?" I nodded. She sat across from me. I left Marcus. I said nothing. He wasn't what I thought. Still nothing. He cared about my money. When the divorce happened, he started pressuring me to transfer assets. When I refused, he disappeared. I looked at her. "I suppose you came here for a reason." She lowered her eyes. "I came to apologize." That surprised me. "I treated you terribly." "Yes. I thought money meant happiness. It doesn't. I know that now." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she pulled something from her purse. A photograph. It was her father. She placed it on my desk. "I found this in his things." I turned it over. On the back, Robert had written, "Daniel and me." He never knew I considered him my son. My throat tightened. Emily began crying. "He loved you," she whispered. I looked at the photograph. "I loved him too." She wiped her tears. "Do you hate me?" I thought about everything. The betrayal. The loneliness. The funeral. The divorce. The money. And then I remembered Robert's final lesson. Kindness wasn't about pretending people hadn't hurt you. It was about refusing to let their choices turn you into someone you didn't want to become. "No," I said quietly. "I don't hate you." She looked at me. "I don't know if I can forgive everything yet. But I don't want to carry hatred around for the rest of my life." She nodded. That was enough. Years later, people often asked how I became the man in charge of a $90 million empire. They expected a story about ambition. They expected clever investments or a lucky opportunity. But the truth was much simpler. I became wealthy because I stayed beside a dying man when there was nothing in it for me. Robert had understood something most wealthy people never learn. Money can buy comfort. It can buy houses, cars, businesses, and influence. But it cannot buy the kind of trust that is earned when someone holds your hand in the darkest hour and stays, even when nobody is watching. I never forgot that. And every year on the anniversary of Robert's death, I returned to that same hospital. I would sit quietly in the parking lot for a few minutes. Then I'd look at the city around me and remember the man who had changed my life. Not because he left me $90 million. But because, at the end of his life, he taught me that the greatest inheritance isn't money. It's character. And if you're lucky enough to receive that, you already have something wealth can never buy.